Welcome back to OPA Podcast, episode 71. Today it's just the three of us. Say hi, Soup
Hello.
and Griffin,
Good evening.
along with myself, Jason O. And today Wyatt is not here. He has work-related stuff that needs his attention. Is that the best way to describe it, guys?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But to go from there, we are going to recap the Iowa game and preview Michigan State, along with any other news and stuff that has spilt this past weekend or today, Monday the 23rd. But to recap, the Golden Gophers won 12-10 against the 24th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes, bringing back the Floyd of Rosedale. Yes, we got the pig back. Start cheering, everyone. Yay, yay. Let's do it.
Yummy bacon. Yummy bacon.
Let's yeah, you know what? Yep. Woohoo. So excited. No complaints at all.
Not one.
Not one.
Not one?
It was great. I enjoyed it the whole time.
Okay, I'll have to break the the joke here, guys. So going into the game and details here, I don't know how I would describe it. I was very mad during that 60 minutes of gameplay. Like, don't get me wrong, defense played a great game, but offense and special teams, besides Dragon Kesic, just like pissed me off so much. And again, we were kind of expecting it, but I was like hurt as the game went on, and I thought we would have lost due to the punt return for a touchdown, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, how did you guys feel about the game overall?
You go
Um,
first, too.
I'm glad it happened. Boy, do I hate how we got here though. That was it's probably the worst I felt after a win like ever. And it's like a huge win, right? And I didn't feel good about a second of it.
I think for me today, like right now, is the absolute best I've felt about this win. Like, kind of just to echo what you said, like I hate how we got here. But the more you kind of like, at least for me, trying to be as objective as possible the last 48 hours, I'm like, this is the happiest I've been. Um, we knew it was going to play out like this, but there's also a point where we just have this emotional numbness to certain games, certain outcomes. Like we've just seen all of the potential outcomes before, good and bad, and like you just knew
The thing
this was
is it happened. It
yeah,
happened right in front of us again. It happened.
it
Like
happened.
we all watched it slip away again, and it was just like this can't keep happening.
It's like that meme, like the guy, like the little guy trying to get the little balloon, and then someone's holding him back from getting that little balloon. Like that's us trying to get Floyd. Like that's how I thought
We
I
got it
saw
though.
us losing Floyd, but we didn't. Obviously, we have him back, and he's now sitting right beside Paul Bunyan's axe at the facility. So,
For the
um,
first time in how long? I have to look.
seven,
Since
8 years,
right since '93, since we both had them.
Yeah.
and we haven't won in Kinnick since 1999, which is a long way to come. And then PJ lost 0-7 to Iowa if you include his one season at Western Michigan against Iowa. So PJ has been pretty much winless against Kirk Ferentz at Iowa.
Oh, almost like 0 and 7.5, if you want to call it.
Or
I mean,
that.
come on. 1-7, a win is a win. Griff, I'm with you, honestly. Like I feel better about it, as time goes on. Like I'm happy that we won and I'm in a much better place on the game after watching it a second time, I think.
Oh, I feel the same too. What about you, Griff?
I was, I mean, it's just over like just the last 48 hours. I'm sitting here like I wasn't like screaming happy in the moment. I wasn't going to be like sobbing sad if the touchdown stood. I was just sitting here like reading the rules. I'm like, what are the rules? What do I need to be looking for to either objectively agree with this, or be like, you know what, maybe Iowa did get robbed. I just am trying to look at this without a bunch of emotional feelings. So like,
How could they have gotten robbed? That's the rule.
Yeah. Like, let's touch on this for our viewers and listeners. If you weren't watching the game and not on Twitter and stuff like that.
First of all, congratulations on enjoying your life a lot more than
Yeah.
me.
So the Gophers are up 12-10 with like a minute and 40 or 45 left in the fourth quarter. Mark Crawford punts it away.
After running the ball on 3rd and 9.
Yeah, on a 3-and-out and punts from the Gopher offense, knowing classic PJ wants to milk the clock despite being ahead by only 2.
An 11% loss of win percentage in one play.
Yep. DeJean, is that his name?
Yeah.
yep.
Does something with his hand. One is pointing, the left hand is waving at shoulder level, picks up the ball, runs it into the end zone with great protection from his special teams, which all three of us thought, hey, this is what we were expecting. Iowa runs a great special teams. However, when they're reviewing it, they threw a flag. And I think, Griffin, you shared this rule, the rules on the group chat. Do you have that up right now? Or what was the...
Are you talking about Article 4 G, which says that invalid or fair catch signals are reviewable?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in 2021, in the most, I believe is the most updated handbook, in Article 4 G, it says that fair catch signals are reviewable, but it doesn't explicitly state invalid fair catch signals, but one could assume in a reasonable way that that would include invalid fair catch signals with the fair catch signals. But I think perhaps it's not crystal clear.
The problem with the call is that it wasn't blown dead in the moment.
Correct.
As it should have been, and that's the reason why it's such a big deal. It's an invalid fair catch signal. That part of it is, I don't think anybody can contest. But what
Except for
happened
Iowa
after
fans.
it? That's too bad. They're wrong. I don't care. No Floyd? ? It's just, I think, like, they're trying to pull, like, even Kirk Ferentz in his like press conference after the game was like making himself out to be like this victim who was robbed, and it's like, no, dude, it's because your son is incompetent and gained 2 yards in the second half. It's not about this. It's not the official's fault. Like, it's on you. And like, they don't make mistakes on Iowa's special teams. That's why they're so good. They made one, and when you make mistakes like that, you lose football games. This call has happened to us this year. This happened to Quentin Redding trying to field a punt. He waved people off the poison call, and he tried to advance the ball, and they blew it dead immediately. And we all got mad in the stands, and then they were like, oh, it's an invalid fair catch signal. You can't do this. You can't, like, do the poison signal and then pick the ball up and advance it. You can keep it from continuing to bounce down the field and losing field position, but you can't advance. And we were like, oh, okay, that makes so much sense. Okay. Like, we're all fine with it at that point. But it was blown dead. So, like, that's the whole problem, I think, is that it wasn't blown dead.
Yeah, and it was always blown dead at other games, too, because I think, Griff, you shared it on the group chat that in other games they were blown dead for that kind of signal. But in the case of Iowa this past weekend, it wasn't.
Were bad.
Yeah.
These officials were bad. They were bad all game. Iowa got a ton of calls, and they just... it's hilarious that they forget about the rest of the game where, there's like a really weird catch call that they get at the beginning of the game where I thought the ball moves as he hits the ground, and then we get an overturn of basically the exact same thing later in the game. Like, what the hell is that? And then they get their only touchdown drive is they get 4 penalties on one drive. They get 2 freebies inside the red zone for free first downs. And then they finally score on their 6th quarterback sneak in a row. That was it. Like, I don't want to hear it about, like, oh, the officials this game, we're all in Minnesota's favor. It's ridiculous.
I think one thing that's important, too, just to clarify with the whole, like, poison rule, too, is, like, nothing audible can be deemed like a signal. It has to be like a motion with the hand. So like Redding or DeJean could have yelled, poison, poison, Peter, Peter. Even if they didn't do any hand signals, like that's not enough to make it an invalid signal. Like they have to make a motion with their arms.
Which in DeJean's case, it was pointing his finger on his right arm, but his left arm was waving.
Which they confirmed that, saying there was nothing with the right arm. He was pointing. That's legal. Just so the teammates know where the ball is. It's the left hand that's kind of moving in a circular motion that might say, "Hey guys, get away from the ball," and which then affects the coverage unit on special teams, saying, "Oh, do we have to tackle this guy?"
Which they are probably looking for, because I'm sure PJ was upset about the last time when Cooper calls for a fair catch really late and then pushes Tyler Nubin and gets a 15-yard penalty added on.
Oh, yeah, that too. Same game.
And I'm sure PJ said, hey, don't let him do that again. He's going to call a late fair catch and lean into our guy. And so they were watching him.
And look, Cooper DeJean is a pro on special teams. Like, we know we're going to see him.
He will be a first-round draft pick.
Yeah. And he knows how to get those calls. So, I mean, credit to him for, trying to make those plays.
Savvy move.
Savvy move, but you cannot rely on that and have that be the reason your offense couldn't even go 15 yards after it was overturned to then kick a field goal.
Yeah, didn't they throw a pick to Justin Wally?
They did.
Wally or Nubin, I can't remember which.
It was Wally.
It was Wally, number 5.
But it was 3 pass plays, I believe, in a row at the end of the game. And he threw it to the far side of the field, where you knew all game he was trying to jump routes. He was timing it fairly well. It was just a matter of time.
Yeah, they just missed 2, and he throws it right to him.
Yep.
Yeah, like if you guys want to start, let's start on defense. Like our boys, only allowed 2 offensive yards the second half.
Yep.
3 turnovers, 2 fumbles on Deacon Hill recovered by the defense, and the interception by Wally at the end of the game.
Joe Rossi came out of the tunnel, just went over to Kirk Ferentz and said, night, night.
Honestly, he did. Like, looking at the stats here, guys, on Iowa's offense, Deacon Hill was only 10 of 28, 116 yards, no touchdowns.
He is awful.
Yeah. And then their 1 touchdown in the game was from Deacon Hill on that QB sneak on that drive where all those penalties came in. And then in terms of receiving, their top receiver was, I believe, their tight end at 28 yards. No. Yeah, tight ends, 62 yards.
Makes sense.
But yeah, our defense came out and played. The boys stayed, in their spots as how Joe Rossi designed it, but also the tackling.
Oh, the tackling. Shout out Maverick Baranowski. We've been on him all year, but he was great.
I mean, yes, Maverick was great too, but I also want to give props to our defensive line, which when this was easily their best game of the year. And, we've been on them just as much, saying like, hey, can we do some contain? Can we get any sort of pressure on the quarterback? Like, defensive line absolutely went above and beyond in this game.
I think that was kind of the missing piece for this offense, and I think we saw this is what it looks like when you can rush with 4 and drop 7 every play.
It has, like, Danny Strigo, Devin Eastern,
Logan Redding,
and Ja Joyner, like the flows 4 guys getting in there and eating that offensive line. I think
Kyler Baugh had a good game again.
Yeah. I think we also have, I think in this case, not just Joe Rossi, since he is the defensive coordinator, but I think give some props to Winston de la Bodia.
The defensive line coach? Yeah, for sure. That's going to be a tough one when he gets hired away.
Yeah. But no, credit to those guys, and the D-line looked amazing, especially like we've been harping on it all season, and just seeing that pressure come through and getting, those fumbles coming in those plays. I know Tyler Nubin was the one that, was it the first one? I'm trying to remember here.
Which fumble?
The first fumble on Deacon Hill.
So it was just the same thing reversed. The first one was Devin Williams forcing it, Tyler Nubin recovering it. and the second one was Tyler Nubin forcing it, Devin Williams recovering.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. So yeah, that besides those blitzes that Rossi dialed up, it was an amazing game on the defense. Obviously, that first drive was like WTF because like they said started coming out in the air, but after that they locked it down the entire game.
Yeah, Tyler Nubin, sack, TFL, pass defended, and a fumble recovery, forced fumble.
And with that, earned Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week honors as well.
Yeah, I mean, just another thing I'll say about the defense is I think you saw them finish those tackles that we've been seeing them miss, right? Like those early first down, you meet them in the hole and you just miss the tackle. I think that was key for them, right? I think they were able to really stuff the run at the beginning of the game by doing that. And then the defensive line started really beating them off the ball and just getting better penetration inside. And it just all started to click, which was nice to see, because that was, a big key, I think, to winning. Was going to be pressuring this quarterback and making them make mistakes, and they did it.
How about you, Griff?
I mean, I love that they were altering kind of between zone and man pressures. I mean, Iowa was probably like scripting at the beginning a bunch of different sets, but then you kind of know they're going to get into their inefficient groove, if you even want to call it that.
Their quote-unquote playbook.
Yeah, exactly. Their quote-unquote playbook. So at the beginning, that first drive, they're coming out passing, kind of like you mentioned, but you knew as the game went on, they were going to go back to what they know, which is, one page in a playbook. And then you're going to have Rossi, who's going to sit there, and he's not necessarily going to give them anything super predictable because we ended up blitzing more in the second half of the game, which was forcing turnovers and just affecting timing from Iowa's offense. But I mean, I just love that we didn't necessarily settle down in terms of calling similar coverages and plays, but I just love that we were able to keep them on their toes pretty much the whole game.
All right. Anything else with the defense?
Great to see them back in form. They are fun to watch, and I did notice in the party in the locker room, Mariano Sori-Marin right behind the pig.
Ooh. All right.
I also did notice Mark Coyle kind of sitting in the very corner of Kinnick Stadium, sunglasses on, eyeing down PJ, saying this has to be a win.
He sure tried his best not to, though.
A win is a win.
I guess, yep.
Okay.
Asterisk W.
All right. So should we get into the part? I feel like the part that needs to improve because like defense played great, but I think we need to touch on offense and special teams. So let's go into offense here. So just a quick rattle off the stats. Ethan Kaliakmanis was 10 for 25, 126 yards, no touchdowns, and no interceptions. Our rushing attack, Darius Taylor returned this game, 16 carries for 59 yards. Zach Evans had 10 carries for 44 yards before departing with an injury. Sean Tyler was 9 for 23. Ethan, since they counted his stats, 8 for -7. Receiving, Daniel Jackson, 7 for 101, and Darius Taylor, 3 for 25. Soup, I think I'll let you go first on this one because I know you're more passionate about this than me, and you, Griff, but
Passionate about what?
about how the offense was going. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm at this weird point with like his just kind of philosophy on offense where I'm just like, I'm not convinced you are like actively trying to win games. Like you can't convince me that this is what you think is the best because you get so close to losing so many of these games and it's completely avoidable. And it's because you have no tempo on offense. Like when one thing goes wrong, it becomes about avoiding mistakes for like the rest of the drive. Like you get one drop and you don't you don't throw the ball again the rest of the drive, and it's just like you're never in rhythm with anything. Like I just he has his hands in like the decision making on offense to a point where I think it's too much because they have no rhythm right now.
In this game, they were just predictable at the wrong times. Like there were like coming out of the half, they were there passing, running, kind of changing up, every set of downs. You're like, okay, this is, everything's just a little different than the first. But then, like we mentioned right at the end, right before we punted away, it's like run, 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 just so we can waste clock. It's like, why? Like I know what you're trying to do, but you're also then didn't they ended up I don't know. It's
That play that you're talking about where they run it there, that is the single most biggest loss. That's like one of the biggest losses of win percentage of the whole game. It is Minnesota's biggest gain or loss. So it's their biggest gain or loss in win percentage of the whole game that wasn't caused by a turnover from Iowa. And it's 11%. They lose 11% of win percentage on that play by deciding to run it there.
and we have receivers. We can just complete a short pass in bounds and keep the clock running. I
And
don't know.
then
I don't
maybe
know
even
if
go
PJ
for it.
knows. Oh yeah, there's that. But then again, obviously that's not in our offensive playbook. I mean,
No, yeah, it
maybe
didn't.
in 2019 slants and stick routes were in our playbook, but maybe not
They
2023.
ran one out of the half. Did you see that?
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
The one they ran to Daniel Jackson out of the half. I was like, yes, more. No.
one and done.
Yep.
yeah,
I don't get it with PJ. Like he was so obsessed with the field position battle of this game. And I think it's like it's to a point where it's so detrimental to you. Do you so this game was in like Iowa's favor for win probability wise for basically the entire game. Do you guys want to know when it flipped?
After we took the lead.
Daniel Jackson 39 yards, Minnesota 9, Iowa 10 with 10 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Sounds about right.
46% before, 56% after. 10% jump in win probability on one play.
and we were knocking into the into the red zone too, right? At that point.
Yeah. You know, but it's like, and you're just like giving up on that even happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I don't know.
yeah,
It really aggravates me. And I'm not as mad at Ethan, by the way, as I was during the game. I thought he did what they asked him to do. He had a lot of mistakes in his execution, and I think he got hurt by some drops and some plays that just didn't bounce our way.
yeah. Like I do have my bone to pick a little bit. Like obviously, was pissed at Ethan the night of the game, but after we talked on the group chat and like you mentioned his feet placement. If his feet are not set up, the balls are underthrown, because there are times when like Daniel Jackson would beat what is the supposedly a first round pick corner that Iowa has. Daniel beat
He
him
is
every
yeah.
time. At least the footage that showed when Ethan is passing to Daniel Jackson. Like honestly, I could see D-Jack having at least 200 yards this game, the way he played, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And then Brevin drops a pass. I think this is after the 39-yard throw to D-Jack at this point as well. Brevin drops it on third down, and so we have to kick it, I believe. So
Yeah, in the red zone there.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so
Tough. I don't know what's up with Brevin right now.
yeah, like blocking, he's doing great. Him and Callerup are doing what they do as blocking tight ends, but I'm not sure what's going on. If he has the yips or whatever's going on in his head, like nothing is. He's having a hard time catching shit this season compared to like the last couple. And then I hate injuries. We all do. we lost Zach Evans before the game. Bryce Williams was also out for the rest of the season. So right now, this running back room is very, very light because right now it's only Darius Taylor, Sean Tyler, and I don't know who else is behind them in terms of like scholarships and walk-ons.
Derek LeCaptain, the other Newbin brother.
Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan
Jordan
Newbin.
Newbin. So like this room is getting very, very light, and we don't. Do we have anything new about Zach Evans' injury yet, or is it TBD?
No, we're not. We're never gonna know.
Okay, if
We won't know until the thing before the game.
yeah, if we're playing it like cautiously, if he's out for the remainder of the season, then like right now, I don't want to see Darius Taylor to take on so many carries a game for the rest of the season because we have 5 games left and get hurt. So running back is very depth wise very thin at this point, and guys is not catching passes. And, I wasn't happy about that this game. Like obviously, guys getting hurt sucks. It's going to happen, but the room is going to have to step up when we finish off the rest of the season here. But yeah, that's my 2 bones. Again, drop passes, and running back room getting lighter and lighter as the season goes on. Anything else?
I don't know. I just think Ethan needs more attempts. Like you're gonna live and die by him. You know what I mean? So like you might as well live. So I don't know. Like
I don't know if it's too early for me to say because we're not to Michigan State yet. I think I would like to see kind of like what happened last year at Michigan State when Tanner was starting, where they just purely did a lot of passing at last year's game.
Mm-hmm.
And like that'll be the game for Ethan. But then again, knowing PJ is probably not going to happen. But I don't know. Getting ahead of myself.
For me, I just want to see him attack the end zone more. I mean, you're not going to convert on every single attempt you throw. Like, I don't hate the Brevin pass that he dropped near the first down line, but I mean, my God, like let's get 7 points. Let's not wait to just drive down the field and settle for 3 every time and barely scrape by. I mean,
honestly, I think if Brevin catches that ball, he's either got the first or it's inches, and I think they do go for it there.
Yeah, they're pulling out the tush push for that.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's all I really had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
I mean, when Ethan is able to get more attempts, let loose, like we know he can be effective as a quarterback, but he needs to practice some of these back shoulder throws, some of these, corner and post routes. We just need to get him the reps so he can get the timing down. But
it's one thing in practice, it's different in actual games. You have to let him get like game reps trying to make these tough throws, and you have to be willing for that to maybe hurt you a little bit here. And the thing is right now it's like not a factor for you at all, except for when you need it, right? And I think that's the point I'm trying to bring up with like the win probability swing in the fourth quarter there with 10 minutes left. It's when you need it, right? It is on like second down and short. It is a great decision. It is a great play call, and you just like take their ability to do that away by being so conservative.
Yeah.
All it takes is, a couple of those to hit. Those are big plays. And you just don't really like try. Like Corey Crooms drops the ball and then you give up. And like you get a turnover inside the 20 and you run the ball 3 times. What is that? And like we all know it's going to happen too. You know what I mean? Like nobody's surprised.
Like Iowa's defense knew what was going to come.
That's what I'm saying. Like everybody watching the game was like, yeah, they're going to run the ball 3 times near and kick. Of course it's not going to work. I don't know. PJ just seems to really like have a hand in like the pacing of the offense, even though he's not the one calling the plays. his philosophy is the one like driving their situational decisions, and it's really bad. It's just really, really bad. And it would have lost them this game if not for a mistake by Iowa. You give them the ball back after that even. It's crazy.
Well, is that it on the offense, boys?
Well, I'm
think
sure we could
so.
go on for a long time about other things, but I think for now, yeah, that covers it.
Alrighty, so Wyatt is not here, so we'll try to be very pissed off and happy for him at the same time for special teams. I'll start off with the good. Dragan Kesic was 4 for 5 on field goals, earning special teams player of the week in the Big Ten.
Elite.
Like, that's a I love Dragan, the Serbian hammer.
And you know, all the reports from Iowa City are that it was awful.
The weather conditions was not great for that game, especially with the wind.
I think he said after the game, he said it was the worst wind he's ever kicked in.
And he still made 4 or 5 as well.
Yeah.
And the one he missed was into the wind too.
Yeah. The one he missed, he just pushed. Like, he just completely pushed. Like, it happens.
But yeah, great game from Dragan. I don't know how much more to say it, but all hail the kicker.
The rest of you.
Yes, not for the rest of special teams.
Almost -5 total EPA for special teams.
Good God. I do want to touch on Mark Crawford. I don't know if he listened to the podcast or Rob Wenger did or PJ. I don't know who the hell who, but like at least he was kicking towards the sidelines.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't ask for a better punt from Crawford at the end. Like,
No, you
Oh
couldn't.
yeah.
it was perfectly placed on the sideline. We had 1, 2, 3,
7.
4, 5, 6. Yep, 7 people there. But I think it might have been Coleman Bryson.
Do you know who the
Who?
first one?
Brady Weeks?
The long snapper.
Yeah,
How is the long snapper the first guy?
good question. But how were they giving up the sideline as an escape route? That's the only thing about that coverage that just had me absolutely
They're
bamboozled.
all just like bunched up too. It's just terrible.
I'm like they literally have an entire line.
Now
To
they're
block
not
them.
even catching the ball on kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about like loss of field position, and I think that's the reason this game that like Ethan doesn't get to throw is because you start multiple drives deep in your own territory because you can't field a kickoff.
That.
What in the world?
Yeah, that. And then there was, I think, one drive where they pinned us on the 1.
Like, I understand that there's weather, but like, catch the ball. You have one job: catch the ball.
And we catch the ball, muff the punt, and all of a sudden it flips the game. That's his mindset.
I know. But like, you don't field the ball and they're right there. They can just pick it up.
Right. And but there's that. And if you don't field the ball, then you don't even have a chance to return it if there is a lane.
Yep. They're super good in the middle 8 though. That's the one thing the Gophers are good at, and it's so weird. I don't know, but Bragan's just the only bright spot on special teams, and everything else is just like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Like, there's no way. Remember, he said at Big Ten Media Days, this is my best special teams unit ever. There's no way. That's crazy.
Again, I think it's going to the theory that PJ is having too much of his hand into the game.
Situational kind of pacing, and it's just not good.
But also, I still say it's his fault for not benching Quinton Redding.
Yeah, no, totally.
And then Sean Tyler's not being used to his full effectiveness as a returner as well, as we've always been harping on the last few weeks. So I don't know. Offense, I can sort of see what PJ wants to do again, or we see what he wants to do. He wants to run the hell out of the ball, throw when he needs to, but what doesn't help with Ethan. But then on special teams, I'm like, this is an entirely different unit of what we saw
this
last
is just
year.
Plain bad.
Yeah. Like where was the positive special teams plays where we saw last year where like we actually had a good return, like at Syracuse.
Tried to return.
Yeah. Like I am,
because they're not blocking. Like they're not really blocking for punt either. They're just conceding to catch the ball wherever you punt it.
Like, yeah, I wondered, is PJ PJ through Rob, or PJ and Rob are telling him like, hey, once they field the punt, just start heading towards the sideline. Like, is that what they're telling him moving forward? Because like
Well, they're just like always fair catching the ball, or like they're going for blocks, which is, kind of good, but they're also like not, they're like doing punt safe a lot of the time, which is like you're half blocking, you're half like dropping in zones in case they run like a fake, but you're like never blocking to try and set up a return. You know what I mean? You're always just like conceding that the ball is going to end up wherever it ends up.
yeah.
Like that's my whole thing with him, is like you're just not trying to do anything. You're not trying to break any of your tendencies. You're not trying to, let your young quarterback grow. You're not trying to you're just not trying to be efficient at all. And it doesn't make any sense as to why. I just don't get it.
Oh, I think he didn't really change his best. Like, as we talked about before, PJ's going to stay stubborn and not really change himself and what he does with his team. Obviously, Joe Rossi took it into his hands on the defensive side of the ball, and look where it got us. Like, defense has improved for sure, but I don't know. PJ still hasn't changed his best, despite us ranting for like the last 6 weeks.
I don't know. I just let him cook. Like, you're going to live by him, you're going to die by him. I keep saying this till I'm blue in the face. Like, just let it loose. It's okay. I don't understand what he's so afraid of. He clearly has job security. He just won this game, right? Finally won this one. I think his job is safe for the rest of the year. You know? Like, I don't get what he's so afraid of, to like try and push the envelope, or try and like, do anything. Like, you just seem content to punt the ball, play defense, and like maybe score a touchdown. And it's just like it's so painful.
Afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are part of the game.
And then you end up making the mistakes anyway, and you make them all the time on special teams. All the time.
In not so timely manners. Like the turnovers will always come, and then that if you turn it over once, it's normally just going to come back and bite you. Like, we didn't have a turnover this game at all, and that is probably the only reason why we won. Like, Iowa had 3, and they
We
still only
scored
lost
points
by
on
2.
one. We only got points off of one of those.
Yeah, and one of them we could have literally returned in to the end zone if one of them just decided to pick it up.
Yeah.
But they're not taught to do that either. They're taught to get on the ball and let the offense do their work. And by work, I mean run. And by run, I mean run 3 times and settle for 3.
Yep.
To
You're
quote,
just like,
to quote realistic Randy, who I follow for Vikings podcast stuff, he used to say this jingle every time a Mike Zimmer offense would used to be on the field, which is run, run, pass, defense, 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 or run, 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 defense, defense, defense. Like, that's classic old school football that TJ really wants to run, but
why?
it ain't working.
Yeah,
I
you know
mean,
what I mean? I don't get it.
It can work if your defense can actually score you points. If you can get a touchdown
Or your
or
special teams, maybe?
or special teams and just get points off turnovers in general, if they don't score, then if you can win by more than one possession, that can work. But when neither of your units wants to make a mistake, when they know they're going to make a mistake, it's going to kill you.
Yeah, a lot to improve on this side of the ball too. So we'll see what happens as we go on to the next game here against Michigan State. It's going to be at home at Huntington Bank Stadium. I almost said TCF.
Still is.
True, still is. Um, It is going to be a 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time kickoff. Again, the crew of Opa Podcast still #hates 2:30 kickoffs. But going on from there, the current betting numbers, the Gophers are -7 in the spread. Over under is at 40.5 for this game. And for kind of note, it'll be airing on Big Ten Network. Going into this game, I think the major news point that everyone has probably seen and heard is Michigan State's coming off of a big scandal, or is, with Mel Tucker's firing. Not too long ago, right? Like, I feel like it was a couple weeks ago, maybe, guys? Or am I blanking out? Or a few weeks ago?
It was a couple weeks ago, but it's the news of the season for them.
Yeah. So with his departure and also some untimely injuries, so right now, looking at it, so they lost to Michigan last weekend, 0-49. Their quarterback who was playing was Caden Hauser, who on the season so far has thrown 392 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Their lead rusher here is Nathan Carter, who only rushed 17 times against Michigan for 36 yards, and then Malik Carr was their top receiver, 2 receptions for 32 yards against Michigan. So I really don't know what to make of this Michigan State team, because in the last 5 games, all 5 of them have been losses. So again, 49-0, Michigan 27-24, Rutgers win. Iowa won 26-16. Maryland won 31-9, and Washington won 41-7. So from an overview glance, I think Michigan State is not a great team overall. But then I go back to when we thought the same thing about Northwestern, and then we blew a fourth quarter lead. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this game coming up?
You can't let this one get away from you. You can't. Don't do that. Just don't do it. I don't know what else to say to him at this point. You know what I mean? Get out of your own way. Stop stepping on the rake. It's okay. Just let it go. Whatever you're worried about, just let it go and just go. Let the guys play. It'll be all right.
One thing that has been abundantly clear for Michigan State in the last 5 games is once there's enough offensive numbers put up by the other team, they really don't ever come back from it. Score early, score often. Like Soup says, get out of your own way. This is a game that you absolutely have to win. Personnel-wise, we are beating them in, I think, almost every critical category or position. If this is a game for Ethan to shine, or if there is a game for Ethan to shine, this would be the one. I mean, total yards, team stat-wise, they give up it's kind of flipped. Michigan State gives up way more passing than they do rushing. We give up more rushing than we do passing. So, just have the teams play. This is a game where you can let loose. Defense for Michigan State doesn't necessarily hold up all game. I want this to be a 2-possession win, no matter what.
But also, too, I think the discipline on Michigan State's side has not been great either. Like the Michigan game last week, I know they're getting boat raced by Michigan, but one of their defensive players does an unnecessary roughness penalty, which gets them ejected from the game. I think what I see, besides, the Gophers getting out of their own heads and letting Ethan cook and stuff, and defense playing as they've been so far this season, and even better, especially what we saw in Iowa, and special teams just doing something. I just think if we play disciplined football and have no penalties as well, because remember, what was that one drive? I know the refs were bad, but some of the
You'll wear
guys.
this team down, right? You'll
Yeah.
wear this team down at some point.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to push the ball down the field. Like, it's just frustrating because there are moments there where the offense looks to click, and then there's a drop by Corey Crooms, and then they give up. You know what I mean? It's like it's okay to try again. You know? I don't know.
Yeah. No, for me, it's just discipline because, again, Michigan State doesn't seem as disciplined, and like they're going to give us those plays, like, you know, penalties that will be positive yards for either offense or defense. So I just think as long as we played a very clean game as well, I think it'll be good for the Gophers, especially with some of the penalties last game.
The pass protection needs to be a lot better, especially for McQuinn Carroll. It's been bad. He's fine in the run game, but he is struggling as a pass blocker. Like, give me Greg Johnson in a little bit. I'm done with this guy at right tackle. It's just not good.
All right. Should we get into predictions then, or you guys have anything more to chat about this upcoming game?
I'm excited to see. Go ahead, Griff. Sorry.
No, mine wasn't even like play related. I just knew that the whole Michigan State thing, like Michigan has their scandal going on, and then Michigan State ended up suspending the staffer that was doing the video board stuff that had the picture of Hitler on it. So it's just not a good time for Michigan State football and Michigan football in general.
Oh yeah, we didn't even touch on Michigan.
Not at all.
We can touch them at the end. Right now we're previewing Michigan State, boys. Gotta keep us on task here.
There's too much happening.
I know, so much. Going into Michigan State here. So like I mentioned, the Gophers spread is -7, over under 40.5. I'll go first. Preseason, I said dub. I am going to say 23-17 Gophers win. And then I'll chime in for Wyatt. Wyatt's going 2013. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go 24-13.
24-13. All right.
Gophers. They kick 2 field goals. They get a garbage time touchdown. You know.
How about you, Griffin?
26-17. I picked up for the Gopher, right?
Yep.
Yes, you did.
That's what I figured.
We all did. Alrighty. Well, cool. For those viewing and listening, we'll have fun at the game if you're planning to go. Soup would not be there for the next 2 home games. But I think Griff and I might be watching from home.
I will be working both nights.
All right. But we shall see. I might go the one. Who knows? But going on from there, yeah, let's touch back on Michigan. Like, holy crap.
Fill the good people in.
I don't know much. So there is a scandal for Michigan as well for cheating by stealing and knowing the signs that each of their opponents have been using while in the game. And the staffer who was allegedly doing it has been suspended. And it's been going on for like a lot of games as well, from what it was reported. And it's currently being actively investigated by the NCAA. But other than that, a broad overview. What are you guys' thoughts, or what do you guys know about further into this situation?
One thing that's very interesting is JJ Watt's perspective on it. The fact that he commented on Instagram on this story and says, I'm a UW Badger. That's just like the game. That's just a part of it. I'm like, interesting to think about. But apparently just from me reading articles today, the NCAA is expected to receive some sort of video evidence of illegal technology used in scouting. Apparently this staffer by the name of Connor Stallions purchased 11 tickets for different Big Ten schools, different league schools. So, I mean, part of me thinks like they're also just going after Michigan because Michigan's an easy target. Like they're one of the best teams in college football. I feel like if this is a lower level team that maybe doesn't win as much, there's probably not going to be as much attention drawn to it. But it's the NCAA. It's Michigan. Harbaugh is already out for all the non-conference games. They're looked at through a very they're under a big microscope right now. So anything they do is kind of just immediately looked at and evaluated.
How about you, Soup?
It's, I don't know. I like just was like joking. I like sarcastically replied to Nicole Arbach on Twitter that with like tongue in cheek, like, oh, so that's how they beat the Gophers by 40, vacate the win or whatever. And that tweet was fun. And it might actually happen now, which is hilarious. So, I mean, because this is like really bad,
Because like this is like really bad, like enough to like forfeit wins, right? Plus,
apparently it's not clear where the money's coming from because he only makes like $55K according to the university, but it's like all the travel and 11 tickets,
yeah, it ain't cheap these days.
Well, tickets purchased for more than 30 games for the past 3 years at 11 different Big Ten schools.
Yeah.
And a lot of those tickets apparently weren't even like they were bought under his name, but he didn't attend every single game because I think they said he was forwarding tickets to others. So I think that might be the huge issue here, where it's how big is this operation? If UW's not, or if not UW, University of Michigan wasn't even some of the opponents in a lot of these games, like maybe there is something bigger going on.
Maybe. Well, we're about to find out more soon as things come to light.
Or something's levied against the university.
True, that too. But wow, not a. I never realized it till now, and now that I'm thinking it back, this is not a good year in terms of like optics for the Big Ten. Like obviously you have Northwestern this past summer, Michigan State, the past fall, and now this on Michigan, and obviously Michigan like suspending Jim Harbaugh for buying a cheeseburger for a recruit or something.
Yeah.
So not a great great season on optics wise with the Big Ten, especially with what UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington coming to the conference next year. But I don't know. Maybe just off-candidly thinking away, but
No, I agree. It's not great. So, I don't know. It's just like, it's one of those things we're not going to know about for like some time. And I think it's like tough to just kind of be okay with that. You know what I mean? Like we're just not going to get any answers for a while. And it's just very interesting. And we want to know.
like we want the tea. Give us the tea.
But it looks like really bad. And to like all the Bears fans out here who are like, oh, good, I hope he leaves and comes to coach the Bears. You guys are out of your mind.
Oh, is that the talk right now?
I am seeing it too much on Bears Twitter. Stop it. Everybody's two favorite coaches, they're like, get rid of these guys, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. Let's see how the year plays out. But everybody's like, let's go get like Pat Fitzgerald or Jim Harbaugh. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. No.
But I will say though about the Bears, Tyson Bagent.
Yeah.
He seems to be good.
Sure. Let's stack some good performances and then we'll see.
True.
Stack some good performances. Get a lot of tape against them so all the teams can look at him, and we'll see how he pans out over time.
Yep. We don't know anything about either quarterback for the Bears until the season ends. So that's the only way it's watchable.
But all right.
And even then, the 3 games I haven't watched, they've put up 30. So maybe it's me.
Just got to eat a burger for every game, and they'll throw up a 30 burger for you.
I mean, it's possible. But other than that, anything else to touch upon? I want to touch this. The Gophers men's hockey team are still ranked number 1, winning the first game against North Dakota on Friday, 4-0 shutout, and then we lost 1-2 on Saturday. But they're still number 1 in the country.
North Dakota was ranked 4th, right? 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that.
5th. Yep.
Yeah. You know what? I'll take a series split over a top 5 team any day of the week.
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Can't win them all.
It's a long season.
A very long hockey season. But other than that, shall we call it a wrap, boys?
Ooh, I'm watching Monday Night Football.
Oh, did that start?
They're showing the painful Viking stats.
Oh
What are
boy.
you talking about? There are no such things as painful Viking stats.
0-3 at home. Yikes.
What are you talking about? Then, we average 200 rush yards a game because we're amazing. No penalties at all. This must be some fake stats, Soup. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay. The Bears won their first home game for the first time in almost, I think 2 years or something.
Oh, really?
It was at least I think it was since the San Francisco game last year.
Bears fans deserve so much better, and this is coming from a Vikings fan.
Thank you. You guys do too, honestly. Everybody in the NFC North does, except the Packers, and Lions fans are being really annoying about it.
Yeah, I will say this. Lions fans are being very, very annoying right now.
With Michigan too. You know what? This is some sweet comeuppance for you guys.
Very true. But no, then again, I'm sitting here in my Vikings jersey so I can watch Monday Night Football. And it looks like Christian McCaffrey will be playing tonight, but he might be limited, but we'll see. But other than that, all right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening to
We are
OPA
happy
Podcast.
we won to end. We are happy.
Yes.
I am glad we won. We have the pig. It is exciting.
We have the bacon.
We are critical, but we won, and we are happy about it. We're sorry if it doesn't come off that way.
We just know this team deserves better.
Very true. We deserve better. But again, thank you so much for listening and watching to OPA Podcast episode 71. Go check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. But we'll see you guys next week to recap Michigan State and preview Illinois. But other than that, we'll see you guys next time.